I'm Jim with Thin Stuff Music, and we're here today to look at the new amp from Suhr, the SL15. So, this amp is exactly what it looks like, which is a tiny little British-style amp. 15 watts. Not gonna rip your face off if you're familiar with the circuit. Man, those watts are loud. Even a 25 or a 50 watter, too loud. Too loud. Nobody wants that on stage anymore. So, this is the new world of amps. You can still get that sound, but on a, relatively reasonable level. Let's go over the controls. And then what I'm going to do today to demonstrate this amp is go through some iconic tones that this type of amp is known for. So, on the front plate, pretty standard. Presence, bass, mid, treble. Volume 1, which is your brighter channel. Volume 2, that is your darker channel. Now, in the old styles of this amp, you'd have to jumper these guys. That's already taken care of, so you just blend them how you see fit. You have these 3 switches here. So the fat switch, if you have it to the left, standard. To the right, it puts the fat cap in. Gives you a little more heft on the low end. This guy is mid-range boost, so left is standard. Right, little bump in the mid is going to give you a little more gain, a little more mid-forward sound. The bright switch, to the left, out. In the middle, medium brightness. All the way to the right is stock, old school, standard level of brightness. I was running that off in the beginning. So, let's hear what this does. Now, for this video, I'm running it through a simulated greenback with 412s. Standard miking, 121, 57. I have the master volume all the way up on the back, so there's a master control on the back of this amp. That takes the master out when you have it on 10. That's how I'm going to run it. If you're running this through a real cab, you can use that as essentially an attenuator, right? You get the sound you want, and then you just crank that master down to a level that is acceptable for whatever you are doing. So, if you hear reverb, if you hear delay, that's coming from the aux. Time-based effects into the front of these amps, you can do it. Suboptimal sound. I'm going to be clicking some pedals on, wah-wah, little maybe script, phase 90, a little bit of fuzz. Got the Hendrix thing happening. Let's stay there. Here we go, in the neck. Now, what I love to do is get kind of a medium gain sound. Let's relax the reverb a little bit. Hear it dried up. And I very much like to take a crunchy sound like this, not a ton of gain, but nice and healthy, and hit it in the front with a fuzz. This is kind of like an old Tycho Brahe, however you say that, fuzz. Kind of like what Hendrix used on Bands of Gypsies. So if you take this sound, hit it with a fuzz, you get this. How about a little Octavia? Trick is to use the neck and turn the volume down, and don't play too low. Now, these amps clean up really well. So if I take the setting I have, take the volume back to about 6 and lighten my touch, all right, let's move on to the Les Paul. Okay, we're back. This is a custom shop, 59, Murphy, Les Paul. My boomer burst, as my students like to call it. How insulting. So what we're going to do here is let's hear what the fat switch does. So this is a pretty, girthy guitar. That's where I have it set. Now, if I get that fat switch in, woo! Now that's crushing. And that's interesting. Usually on these style of circuit, especially through a 412, you just dump the bass. That's kind of rule one that I've always learned with a 412 cab. And that sounds nice, but with a band, that might not be so cool. So if we take that fat switch back out, I'm going to dump the bass, and I'm going to brighten it up a little bit, because obviously this is a darker guitar. Here's where we're at now. Now that's a guitar sound that's going to sit in the mix probably much better. Let's hear the bright switch all the way in. Let's clean it up. I'm gonna put a little delay on there. Let's take it to the neck. Now, let's remove the delay, and we're going to remove the reverb too. And we're going to hear this, and we're going to play around with the mid switch now. So let's see where that gets us. So we're going to put the mid in. We're going to tune. A Les Paul that's gone out of tune on the G string. Shocking. All right, here we are. Bone dry. Middle out again. Mid in. You can hear it, even in the hum of the amp. A little more sizzle. right, let's switch guitars again. All right, we're back. We know what this is. Van Halen, I'm not, but we're gonna get these sounds going. Try to get it pretty close. We're gonna take this thing up to 10 too. So I got it set kind of bright, which is, to my ears, pretty close to the sound. Here we go. That's pretty close. All right, the Suhr SL15. That thing sounds awesome. A lot of fun to play that. You could just dial in these sounds all day with that. Great little amp. See you next time. Oh, I almost forgot to dime it.
Not dime bag it. Different ballgame.
R.I.P. Take that fat switch black out. I like it better when it's not timed. It pushes a little more bass out.